Put on your brass knuckles along with your soccer cleats for this one on Coney Island. Brooklyn FC are back home and up against a stout side in Hartford Athletic. Welcome one and all to the broadcast on ESPN Plus. My name is Mark Schoenster, and I'm joined by former Manchester United goalkeeper Gary Bailey. It's going to be a bruising affair here at Maimonides Park here this evening. Let's take a look, though, at some guys who might be putting it into the back of the net. First off, for Brooklyn, it's Juan Carlos Obregon.
He got the only goal in the match against Indy from the penalty spot under all sorts of pressure. He's a Honduran international, 28 years of age, who is at his peak, and they'll be looking to him to lead the line and hit the back of the net.
Well, talking about someone who's been at the peak for a good while. On the other side, as far as the goal searching is concerned, Augie Williams has done it in a lot of different places.
86 goals. He got the goal against Sporting Jacks in that 3-0 win. He's been scoring at Pittsburgh, at Charleston, at Indy. He did have a penalty saved against Sporting Jacks. It hasn't gone all his way, but he is absolute quality, and Brooklyn will have to keep a very close eye on that man.
Two incredibly talented goal scorers for each side, along with some other great goal-scoring prospects on these two teams. Those are just the two we highlighted. Will one of those two be activated this evening? Only one way to find out, and that's to stay locked in right here on ESPN Plus. Brooklyn and Hartford are up next.
Hearts. No two beat the same. So we built a team of the best heart surgeons, pioneers of the most modern techniques, who always find the one approach that's best for you. But while each surgery is unique, the outcome is the same: the highest success rates. NYU Langone Health.
Moments away from kickoff here on ESPN Plus. Of course, as it is so often this season, it's the first all-time meeting between Brooklyn FC and Hartford Athletic. Mark Schoenster, Gary Bailey with you here on the broadcast. Looking forward to getting this one started. Let's take a peek at what these two are trotting out with their starting 11s. Been a lot of rotation to start the year for Marlon LeBlanc's side.
Well, he makes 4 changes to the team beaten in Detroit. So Nishikawa comes in, Thomas McNamara makes an appearance there, Marcus Anderson and Stefan Stojanovic, Romeo Pinto and Hundal to the bench, Sylvania not available in what we think will be a 4-3-3-ish shape. Only one difference to the first team, the side that played against Indy. There's only one change. So basically he's going back as close as he can to the team that won on the opening match against Indy 11.
That one change, Marcus Anderson making his debut with Brooklyn FC, 22 years old. A Brooklyn native, a man from the borough and ready to represent the team on loan from Philadelphia Union, so also has that connection with Marlon LeBlanc from his Philly days. Meanwhile, on the Hartford Athletic side of things, But that home opener is inching closer and closer. They still need to handle business here, though, in New York. Of course, these games taking place on Coney Island, Maimonides Park. There's Marlon LeBlanc, the man in charge for this program in its inaugural season as a men's club. Coming over from several years in the Philadelphia Union system, coaching their second team in the early stages in the USL Championship, but primarily in MLS Next Pro. Looks like a good traveling contingent for the visitors, whom also made sure they attended that Open Cup game in the middle of the week and brought the noise. There's a peek at Brendan Burke, getting one last dap up with all the guys.
He's done so well, hasn't he, Brendan? Last year, winning the inaugural Cup competition, doing so well in that, and then doing well in the league as well, finishing right near the sort of top 4 or 5 after a very slow start. And you just wonder now, he's kept most of his senior players. He said before there was a lot of rotation. Now he's kept the ones he wants. He's added a few more, such as Augie Williams, Barry Coffey being another. And now he feels they can really go on to be one of the top sides in the USL.
It takes some time to build something from the ground up, Gary. I mean, that first year you almost could call it year 0 because you're just getting in and getting all your bearings. And then last year, laying the groundwork and winning a trophy in the process. So this third year really seems like it's ready for things to fire on all cylinders for Hartford Athletic.
He's got the players he wants. He said Augie Williams was our target player. Well, they got him. Matt Real, well, he was with Brandon at Philly. And in fact, he made his pro debut for Brandon Burke there as well. So he knows him well. And Barry Coffey, he brought him in, an Irish player who's playing in midfield. They are missing Cariagi, and he does say that's the one player that they wish they could get regularly to play for them, Hartford, because he's so crucial to their side. But other than that, he's got a pretty full-strength side out there today, has Brendan Burke.
A lot of similarity and familiarity between these two coaches, both of which had their stops in at Philadelphia, but they go back even further than that, Brendan Burke and Marlon LeBlanc. So there's certainly a lot of love and respect between them. When the game isn't happening, of course, they'll be dialed in and trying to see how they can get the edge over the other during these 90 minutes.
Go on, what's that called, that big thing in the back there? You were...
I was trying to dig for it. I think it's the Thunderbolt.
The Thunderbolt.
Hopefully we get some Thunderbolts on the pitch here this evening in the form of shots.
Well, I think it's going to be a tough match. Just going by what Brendan Burke says, he said it's going to be like a bare-knuckle boxing match. He says we know they're going to be physical, they're going to come at us hard, and we have to have the right mentality if we're going to survive this match.
And what a day that would be on a weekend. Come out to Coney Island, maybe ride some roller coasters, and then finish the day with some of the beautiful game. It is a bit chilly right now, so maybe you're not trying to get the biting wind on your face on a ride such as the Thunderbolt, but you never know. You can have some adrenaline junkies out there who would do it either way. Our head official for this evening's match is Thomas Snyder. And we are off and running here from Maimonides Park. The first ever meeting between Brooklyn and Hartford is underway. Mark Schoenster, Gary Bailey with you on the broadcast. Looking forward to seeing how this one unfolds throughout. Expect a ton of verticality in this game as that one punched away by Kane Rizvanovic. Two speedy strikers streaking at you, and Augie Williams and Sadat Anaku.
That was brave goalkeeping by Rizvanovic there. He was likely to get a kick in the head and still comes out nice and positive and strong, but you made a good point. It's going to get very vertical. It's the way Hartford play because they have speedy players up front. They like to get the ball up quickly, but then so do Brooklyn.
Brooklyn trying to bounce back after a 3-0 loss on the road against Detroit City FC. Their first ever road game as a club, and you get Detroit. I mean, that's a tough rap for your first ever game on the road in the USL Championship. There may not be a tougher place to play in the entire league.
Yeah, well, they got beat 3-0, but they gave away a few chances as we see that ball cleared. And just chatting to Marlon LeBlanc, he said, we made 3 bad errors and we got punished 3 times. We've got to cut the errors out. And he did look at his young goalkeeper, 18-year-old Kane Rizvanovic, and say maybe he's culpable for 1 or 2 of those and hopes he'll put on a better performance here tonight.
Well, there's certainly a little bit of indecisiveness on at least the second goal in that game. There certainly was no lacking in decision-making in that opening transaction between him and Augie Williams on that breakaway. So someone who's taking notes and applying the lessons learned rather quickly. You love to see that from a young goalkeeper as we get a corner kick here. Waiting to go ahead as everything is kept nice and copacetic inside the box. JC Obregon waiting to whip in this service. Ball driven in and cleared out effectively. Although, of course, the scoreline wasn't pretty in that game, Marlon LeBlanc was happy that they stayed true to their ideas in that match. And he's also pleased with how they've responded since that result. He had a lot to say about how open this group was and how willing to be coached they are.
It was a big defeat against Detroit, but he did say we rotated 4 guys from week 1 when they had the win over Indy. He said we just had to find out who's match fit, who's up to speed, and we gave everybody a chance. We've rotated. Now he seems to come back virtually to the same side that beat Indy. Maybe feels that's his best starting 11.
This ball will be launched over to the right-hand side. Opportunity brewing here. And that shot will be blocked away. Stefan Stojanovic, the one letting it fly. That's a nice exchange. The ball lifted up in the air. Anderson is there, nods it back across. Trying to head it across the face of goal for someone else to clean up. Tommy McNamara. In tight quarters there, trying to combine with So Nishikawa. Hartford with the quick turnaround after getting that win on the road on Wednesday against FC Motown in the US Open Cup. Hear the drumming and supporting here. They had about 15 loud supporters at that game on Wednesday, bringing the noise. Certainly made it seem like it was more than just 15 with the volume they were providing, and they were able to give 2 academy guys their first start. Played well in that game, and 2 other guys made their pro debuts. It was 8 total Hartford Athletic debuts in that match. And to still come away and execute despite how much rotation you had is got to be really encouraging if you're Brendan Burke.
I think a huge credit in that match goes to TJ Prestis. He got the opening goal, a near post flick on from a corner, but he twice, not once, but twice headed off the line when goals looked almost certain. So he was doing the business at both ends of the pitch, TJ Prestis, and I guess that's why he got the call up today. He proved his worth to his coach, Brendan Burke.
That's first start of the season after scoring in that match on Wednesday. This one knotted down by Anaku. Pressure still on here for Hartford. A lot of jabs for the ball. Settled down and blocked out for a corner kick. Vuk Latinovic, the one walling off the shot.
Good pressure there from the visitors. Anaku was just trying to get something going. He got blocked a few times. He was trying to get Barry Coffey in on the end of a shot there. Nothing really seemed to gel for them. But now they have a chance at a set piece, and they've got Britton Fisher, who must be 6'5", coming up from the back. So there's an ideal person to aim for from a set piece.
Certainly the target that stands out. It'll be Sebastian Anderson to provide service. They'll play it short. Anderson again, curls it in. And that was a dangerous header. It spins wide safely for Brooklyn, but not too far off target.
Those are the balls you want, aren't they? Taken short here, but then whipped in, and it's a dangerous one because it's curling in towards goal, causing all sorts of problems for the defense of Brooklyn.
With the traveling Hartford fans in the foreground. Another corner kick for the visiting side. This one more properly knotted away. Wind up shot, always rising.
Yeah, that was well over. Unfortunately, you always want to hit the target with those shots because you want to test the goalkeeper. Errors happen. And even if he makes a save, he might push it back into traffic. But when you stick it that far over the crossbar, goalkeeper's got no work to do.
Yeah, so many bodies between you and the goalkeeper there when you take that shot. I imagine it's tempting to try to go upward with it. But can you imagine being the goalkeeper on the other side and not exactly knowing where that ball might go? If you keep it lower, could deflect just about anywhere.
You've always got a chance. If you keep it on target, you've always got a chance of something happening. At the moment you lean backwards and you whack it a million miles over the crossbar, of course, you just basically giving the ball to the opposition.
And now Brooklyn will try to throw their own punch. Spilled out for a moment by Siaha, but he was quick to recuperate. I imagine we can expect this for a lot of the game. The goalkeepers sending it down the pitch, just trying to see if they can get their strikers running.
Yeah, that verticality you spoke about from both sides. They're not going to be shy to whack it down the pitch and test defenders. And I don't mind that. I mean, it's nice to play football on the ground when you get a chance, but every once in a while, test the opposition with a long, high ball. It's a valid way to score. It's been frowned upon in the Pep Guardiola era, but it's coming back into fashion bit by bit. Players are realizing you don't have to possess teams to death. You can also knock it over the top for a quick attack.
Williams dragged down. It'll be a free kick opportunity, and given the metrics of this pitch, you have even more ground to try set pieces, even when you're further away from goal like here. Still a good chance to whip in a good cross, as our head official Thomas Snyder sprays the shaving cream onto the ice and establishes the boundaries.
See Tommy McNamara there with all his knowledge at 35 years of age, with over 100 appearances for the Revs, for example, New England Revs. He's the sort of player you need for Brooklyn there, just to help organize things.
It's Anderson and Real behind this dead ball. That one's got a lot of air underneath it, and ultimately no threat to it. The USL Championship and League One are on CBS Sports and ESPN platforms all season long. Catch live matches and expert analysis every day on the CBS Sports Golazo Network and ESPN+. Go to USLChampionship.com or USLLeague1.com for the complete USL TV listings.
Interesting listening to Marlon LeBlanc this week. When we chatted to him, he talked about his team, saying that, A, we're a direct team, but we've got no big budget players, so we all have to perform every time that we play. It's a real, you say, blue-collar team.
Ball sent into the mixer. Still fighting for it, cleared away by Fisher. A blue-collar team that he's still trying to fully get familiar with as this cross is sent in. The bulk of this roster being built in December into January, and some of those guys haven't even been around for more than 2 or so weeks. You mentioned the rotation in players earlier, and he wants to see what these guys are capable of doing and getting in these minutes, and in some ways really throwing them into the fire and seeing how they adapt and overcome the pressure.
Yeah, it's going to take them a while to build a top-class team as McNamara gives away the foul there. It's going to take a while. You can't just bring players together and hope they're going to perform, not unless you spend a fortune. You've got to build players. Probably this first season will be a settling-in season. If they make the playoffs, I think that'll be a fantastic achievement. McNamara, the captain, just getting a bit of a lecture there from Thomas Snyder.
I mean, we talked about earlier how this is year 3 for Hartford Athletic, and now they really feel like they've arrived after, and of course they've been around for more than 3 years, but year 3 of the Brendan Burke era.
Yes, yes.
It takes some time to really create a powerhouse.
It certainly does, and I think you know you've got there when you can retain sort of 70–80% of your players who already are good and then add quality to that. Something like, for example, Lou City do every year and Hartford have done this year.
There's a player down here for Hartford, but no whistle sound. Sebastian Anderson currently clutching his left leg.
Lots of discussion going on between coaching staff, players, and there's a slight coming together. I don't think there was anything nasty about it. I don't see a yellow card, but
seemed to be some peace being made after that transaction between Nishikawa and Sebastian Anderson, as Anderson, of the Marcus variety, brings it forward for Brooklyn. McNamara feeds it into the center. It'll trickle up top, and that wind-up effort just came off the boot wrong.
It's a bit embarrassing when it ends up going out for a throw-in rather than a shot on goal.
Just spun off the outside of the boot for Taimu Okiyoshi. Let's look at Brendan Burke. 3 matches in, including the Open Cup. No goals conceded for his side. And he said it's because of commitment through all the lines. Felt they were excellent at Jacksonville. Maybe a little wobbly against Birmingham, but still a good job. And he mentioned that, in essence, they are playing a little bit short-handed. Some of these key pieces that he thinks are going to be critical for the team this season, not yet back, so just got to take it one game at a time and take results where you can.
Certainly missing Mishi Ngalina. He is so good, so quick up front. And Cariaga is his powerhouse in the middle. So those are 2 massive players. Obalola, who scored in the opening game against Sporting Jacks when he came on as a sub. These are all top quality players. Samadi is not available, Babakar Njai as well. And there's a couple of new players coming in that haven't quite got all their sort of details ready, so they can't start. But once he gets all those players back, it does look a very impressive Hartford squad.
So short-handed that they had to sign some guys to 25-day contracts to fill out their 18 this evening. All names that got to play in that Open Cup game on Wednesday. Anaku was trying for the spectacular there and ultimately falls well short. Brooklyn FC fans, this is your chance to get even closer to the action and experience Brooklyn FC from a whole new perspective. Scan the QR code on the screen to enter for a chance to win 4 free seats in Brooklyn FC's new pitch side seating area. These seats put you just steps from the action, where every pass, tackle, and goal happens right in front of you. There is a special magic to being right up and close to the action. Obregon will roll this one back. Anderson will slide it in. Now it's Nishikawa. Lifts this into the air. And Jordan Scarlett more than ready for that one. Always a steady man in the back for Brendan Burke in Hartford. Brooklyn now having played 2 direct games already, and obviously you're going to get another one here tonight when you play up against Hartford. But Laurent LeBlanc mentioning that this Hartford Athletic team's directness is a little bit different because they approach it from a different shape. And also, it's nice because they actually have tape on these guys now, whereas they didn't for that Detroit City game, and maybe weren't expecting Detroit to be as direct as they were. But all things considered, this Hartford team got some real game-changing speed. Wind-up effort sliding towards goal. Anderson pokes it out to Obregon. Nishikawa back out to Anderson.
There's that verticality again, that long ball up and trying to fight for the knockdown, and they've got it. And here they go, Hartford.
This one slipped through nicely for Williams. The star acquisition shining once again for Hartford. It can happen in a flash, and that's just the way Hartford Athletic like it.
And to think that all just came from a big boot up the pitch, try and win the knockdown, which they did in midfield. A lovely pass through. Augie Williams is running straight away. As soon as he gets this Barry Coffey, Augie Williams starts to run. There he goes. And he's in between. There's 3 defenders there, but between them, they don't block off the channels. They don't get in his way. They don't pick up the run. And he exposes that. But Barry Coffey with a pass as well. Spot on. And what a good finish from the one and only Augie Williams.
He can now make it 87 goals in USL Championship play for Augie Williams, who only sits behind Dane Kelly in the career tally mark across USL Championship history.
And that's the big test for Brooklyn here. You're coming up against a quality finisher in Augie Williams, someone who's very quick. He timed his run. He got in between the center backs there. And there were 3 black shirts just with him, and they couldn't contain him. Sometimes you've got to, go to the dirty tricks book and just step in front of him, block him, do whatever you have to do. But they were caught napping there, Brooklyn, and this is welcome to the big time. This is where you get punished if you don't keep things super tight in defense.
I don't know if there are many more common welcome to the USL moments than getting scored on by Augie Williams. He made a business of doing that over these past few years.
I'd like to see him with Mishi and Galina completely fit and Cariaga behind them. I think that's when you start to look at Hartford as a top 4 finisher in the Eastern Conference. I think there's every chance they will get there because they are such a good, solid squad now without any weaknesses and the ability to win games because you have the likes of an Augie Williams.
Yeah, isn't it nice that you can have a guy like Williams up top and you could still be talking about how you're shorthanded right now?
Well, I guess it's because players like Mishi and Galina can also score goals. He's got blistering pace, and Cariaga can score from shots from the edge of the box. So 2 of your best players not available, that is impactful.
A motive on the bench there for Brendan Burke, who talked about all the different factors you got to assess when preparing for a game like this. He called it a bare-knuckle boxing match is what he was anticipating this game being, and we've seen some of that physicality so far, and it's gotten congested a couple of times where it just takes some persistence and some grit to get the ball to go in your favor. It's all about duels and then playing forward, and, well, they've now scored doing the playing forward part. Sometimes you just got to roll up your sleeves and get a little grimy to find a result, especially on the road. So this Brooklyn team's going to press hard and not back down. Sliding challenge there from Scarlett, knocks it out of play. Jordan Scarlett, also from New York City. He's from the Bronx.
Started off with New York Red Bulls. Never really made it with the top side, did he? He was mostly in the 2 team. 68 appearances. Now, have they been working on set pieces, Brooklyn? This is also something that's very difficult when you put a new team together. You don't have a lot of time to work on set pieces. Have they got something special lined up here for Hartford?
Nishikawa. Easy to claim for the tall goalkeeper, Anthony Siaha.
Well, not just that, but all the black shirts have gone to the near post, and that went to the far post. So it answered my question for me. No, they don't have anything planned, or if they did, they didn't execute it. But again, fully understanding that they haven't had much time together, that they've probably been working on the basics, the shape of their team, who plays where. When you've been together a long time, then you've been working on set pieces for months, if not years, and that's when you can get a lot more from your set pieces, which these days, as Arsenal have shown in England, are becoming increasingly important.
You can really start getting creative and also just incredibly efficient. Certainly helps to have a guy like Bukayo Saka, of course, whipping in some wonderfully placed crosses as well. So Nishikawa finds Marcus Anderson, and the flag will go up, just crossing the boundary. Watch the USL Championship in Spanish on 2DNA, the nation's leading Spanish language sports network. Lexington SC take on newcomer Brooklyn FC on Wednesday, March 25th at 7 p.m. Eastern. And Detroit City FC face Charleston Battery on March 28th at 4 p.m. Eastern. Go to uslchampionship.com for the complete USL TV listings. Obregon, winding to his right, will lay it off. Stojanovic, nicely placed! The shot had to be punched over with both hands. Christopher Olney Jr., the one who had to fire.
It's not a bad strike from the edge of the box here. One Obregon Jr. goes for a run, hoping to get it, but instead, Olney Jr. gets it, turns, and immediately hits it. It's fairly close to Anthony Siaha. So you expect the goalkeeper to be able to get it, but he's still got to stretch and be athletic. That's a decent strike there by Chris Olney Jr.
Another corner kick for the home side. Obregon drills it in. That one will be headed away. Lovely pass to Obregon. He chips it up, but it's too close to goal.
Coming up against a quality goalkeeper in Anthony Siaha, and that's something else that Brooklyn will find this year, that breaking down defenses and beating top-class goalkeepers is extremely difficult to do. The only goal they've scored has come from a penalty so far in their 2 matches, so they've found scoring from open play difficult already, and no doubt that will be the case for most of this season. But again, understanding that it's a new team, newly put together by Brian McBride and Marlon LeBlanc, and it will take time for it all to settle down and them to begin to understand what is required to be successful at this level.
You also got to find which of the guys you've put on this team this year are those culture setters that you want to keep around for years to come. Coffee crossing that one in. A diving header kept down. Appeals for a handball will not be answered. And they're going to quickly try to attack the other direction as now a whistle sounds, and you're going to get some emotions from the visitors. One call doesn't go their way, and then the next call goes against them.
Well, again, the referee has to see it. There's no VAR, so if he doesn't see it, and he might not be in the position to see it.
Oh,
it does come off that left hand of Van Keerzeel. If you had VAR, you'd take a closer look, and maybe it would be a pen, but referee gets one glance from wherever position he is on the pitch, or she is, and if they don't see it, they can't give it. That's it. Game goes on.
And so action continues. Got two coaches that are awfully familiar with each other, Brendan Burke and Marlon LeBlanc. Both were under the same roof in Philly for a good while, and then Brendan Burke would go on to Colorado Springs to begin his head coaching tenure in the USL Championship, but kept in touch with Marlon LeBlanc while he was still there with Philadelphia Union 2. Worth noting, though, they've known each other even before their days at Philly together. Marlon LeBlanc, having been the head coach at the college level at West Virginia, was getting phone calls from Brendan Burke when he was in charge of Reading United at the USL 2 level, which of course takes place during the summers, and a lot of those rosters are compiled of mainly college players, and so he was pestering LeBlanc at the time to see if he could get some of those Mountaineer players over onto his squad.
I think Marlon LeBlanc was telling us as well that Brendan Burke called him when he got this job at Brooklyn and said, "How do I help? You know, give me a call." That's a sort of camaraderie that is quite common in the USL, and it's great to see coaches supporting each other. Of course, until the day they play each other, then it's a different
right.
story. We get that.
I'll give you some of the trade secrets, but you're not going to learn how I'm going to beat you next season. Lovely looking service, chested down by Anderson. Obregon following through. And another corner kick. Brooklyn continues to poke and prod. They're looking for that first goal in open play, Gary.
Yeah, one Obregon Jr. gets a little half chance here. Initially there, and then I'm thinking hit it on the half volley, and he just waited a little bit too long before pulling the trigger on that one. But give TJ Prestis credit for blocking that shot. Said he was the star of the show in the Open Cup during the week. He's continued with that good form as TJ Prestis.
Nishikawa once again from the right corner flag. These services asking the defenders to provide the clearance. Another lofted ball into the 18. Obregon with the one-timer. Ends up bouncing well off target.
This is a great position for Hartford to be in, 1-0 up away from home. Just slow the game down a little bit. Anthony Siaho, no rush here. Let's let everyone take a breather. Let's keep control of the game, keep this clean sheet, and go about our business and see how we get the second. But it really does force Brooklyn to have to come and attack. That means there's potentially leave gaps at the back.
Anytime that ball's in Siaha's hands, you have the potential to basically get to the attacking third in one fell swoop as Augie Williams, the goal scorer, is down on the ground.
Did you describe it as a bare knuckle fight? Because I think that's probably what he's saying. He's saying, I'd hit in the jaw here. What is going on?
I figure Brendan Burke did not mean that literally when he described it as such, but you never know.
He's saying he got an elbow in the face. The referee's saying you have to go off the pitch, and then I will tell you when to come back on.
It's always a communicating process between the players and the officials.
It is, and we were just saying, you know, if you're going to play a blue-collar team, and I think I'd add Detroit into that group, and certainly Brooklyn look like they are one as well. They're going to bump you, and they're going to push you, and they're going to test your nerve and just see how committed you are to the cause. And that's something that you have to be up for, which Brendan Burke said he had told his players that they were going to face, and it will come as no surprise that this is going to be a tough physical match.
And they're looking to grind out results here at the beginning of the season, given some of their missing players that they still want to plug into the starting 11 and coming off the bench for Hartford. Brendan Burke not too stressed about the lack of players he's got right now, but because he thinks it's going to be their strongest suit to date once they're at full strength. He says right now it's just about surviving and picking up points where we can, get through each game. Right now, they've got their hand on 3 points, of course, still 2/3 of the game to go. And it's going to take some of that grit and grinding out as the ball temporarily won back by Anaku. No whistle sounding there on the contact initiated by Makanila. McNamara rolling it down the pitch. Going to be a lot of pinballing between these two sides as the game continues to progress.
And talking of McNamara, he said after the loss in Detroit, he said everything's gone well in preseason. We've looked really good. The Detroit game was our first adversity. And he says now we need to understand what it's all about. Because up until then, everything had been going well. The opening game was a great victory. But Detroit was a little bit of a wake-up call, I think. And this is now the big test. How do they recover after Detroit?
You really learn what kind of competitor each individual is after a loss, more so than after a win. As this one will go in the direction of Hartford. And we may need another player to get checked here. Two main priorities for the head official, Thomas Snyder, of course, to maintain fairness on the pitch, but also to make sure everybody stays safe.
You're quite right. You test players when you get a bad result and things don't go well, and you test players when it gets physical. There's a saying in England, which you might have heard of, but it's, can you go and play away at Stoke on a Tuesday night?
Yep.
Which basically means, can you go like to Detroit on a Tuesday night, where the weather's bad and you're getting kicked and shoved.
That one played towards goal and glanced off the goalkeeper. They wanted the offside flag, and they're going to get it here. Select is proud to be the official match ball supplier of the USL Championship. From the grassroots to the pros, Select is there every step of the way. Visit us.select-sport.com for the latest Select products, specials, and more. Select, the player's choice. McNamara with the touch there, but it was for anyone to claim. This will be laid out to the left-hand side. Williams, and he'll be called for the foul. With a little bit of a push down there. Knocking over Okiyoshi. Such tight quarters here at Maimonides Park.
It is, isn't it? It's a very, very tight pitch as you go across it. It's not a long pitch either, so there isn't much breathing room. That's why you can see the players, as soon as they get the ball, someone's tackling them, someone's on them. There's very little space in which to spread the ball around.
Break out your futsal skills. That's about the amount of time you can expect to think about what decision to make, as this one's crossed inside. And Siaha able to jump up to the sputtering header.
Siaha being blocked, and he's saying, come on, ref, that's either a free kick or maybe it's a free kick, indirect free kick, and a yellow card. And now something's gone down in the middle of the pitch here.
Williams, for the second time in the game, is on the grass. You can see how indignant Anthony Siaha was.
I'm just wondering if that's the continuation of the bump he got earlier, or whether he's been bumped again. Well, back to your bare knuckle matches. Turning out to maybe be literal, that there's a bit of stuff going on here.
Ding, 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 round 3.
A serious discussion going on there. I guess with it a warning of some sort.
It's always got to be fun, and I mean that in quotations, sarcastically, as a ref, because you're going to have so many people who are feeling such intense emotions coming at you throughout a game, because they're all going to plead their case, and in many situations, they have a reason to be upset and are not just making things up. I would say the bulk majority of time, they genuinely had something occur, and you got to be the one who keeps the cool head on the pitch.
Unfortunately, there's a number of times when nothing's occurred and the players are playing the referee. So the referee can't go with the word of the player, obviously. They've got to see it for themselves and come to their own conclusion.
This one pings around between white and black jerseys. Obregon testing it forward, and Britton Fisher doing well there, essentially to box out the striker and nod it over to his goalkeeper. Soccer season is here, and SeatGeek is the official ticketing partner of the USL. Get all your USL tickets and more from the #1 ticketing site, SeatGeek. Your ticket to great seats.
You mentioned a few minutes ago that Hartford Athletic in their 3 games so far, or 3.5 almost, haven't conceded. It's also worth noting that all those games have been away from home. They won at Sporting Jacks, they drew at Birmingham Legion, and they beat Motown away 2-0 in the Open Cup. So this is now their 4th match on the road. So they've had a tough start, and to not concede and to win 1 or win 2 if you include the cup and draw 1, that's I'd say that's a pretty impressive start to the season.
Certainly sets the tone. And they're looking and hunting for another one here. Anderson with a great touch, puts it back up in the air. This one squeezes over to the left-hand side, took a deflection, so corner kick for Hartford.
It's a battling going on still. Balls up in the air, players pushing, shoving, trying to get something going. Augie Williams seems to have a problem here. The referee, I think, is keeping an eye on it, just obviously concerned about any concussion protocols.
So Anderson will trot over to the left flag. Just 23 years old, but already so experienced, Sebastian Anderson. And it's headed towards goal. Make it 2 for Hartford. The Irishman, Barry Coffey. He has made goal scoring his business over the years. And now he's set up shop officially in the United States.
Oh, it's an excellent corner in from Sebastian Anderson. It's got curve, it's got pace on it. But he gets up, Barry Coffey, and eventually above everybody else has a comfortable but powerful header into the back of the net. Let's have a look and see if he was marked as he gets up here. Well, he might have had a marker behind him. And you can see immediately the shoulders of Chris Olney Jr. drop. He might have felt that was his man to mark, but didn't he get up well, the Irishman, and thunders that header right past Kane. Rizvanovic has got no chance whatsoever, and this is the professionalism of Hartford Athletic coming through.
Barry Coffey coming over from Cove Ramblers in the League of Ireland First Division, which is actually the 2nd division. That's not the top tier in the Irish League, but in the 2nd division, Barry Coffey was the League Player of the Year last season with 26 goals and 4 assists in his 35 appearances. So this is a guy that already has proven that he can make things happen, and now he's both scored and assisted in this match.
He's also an Irish youth international, so you've got to be pretty talented to play for Ireland U19s, which he has. Now they have to keep a cool head here, Hartford, because, and so do Brooklyn, because otherwise this player's going to get yellow cards and get sent off. And it's the last thing Brooklyn need. If you're 2-0 down, you don't want to then start losing players. But having said that, if you're Hartford, you also don't want to lose players when you're 2-0 up. You want to just keep it cool and calm and just manage the game carefully. So temper's just a little bit frayed there for a moment.
So 40 minutes through in Hartford Athletic, showcasing some of their quality here in New York. Waiting to see if the flag goes up. Williams hasn't been halted. Anderson with a good touch. Takes a bump from Anderson. Once again, Marcus Anderson and Sebastian Anderson involved there.
And deemed to be a fair tackle, shoulder to shoulder. Neither player complaining too much. Up they get and game goes on. Let's have a look at it again. It's a little bit in the back, but doesn't complain at all, does Sebastian Anderson. Just gets right up and gets on with the game.
Zvanovic will roll this one over to Gabriel Alves. I'm curious to see what these two coaches do in the second half of action too, because obviously you do what you can to either A, get back into this result if you're Brooklyn, or B, preserve this result if you're Hartford. But both of these guys, as in the two coaches, have some pretty busy weeks coming up where they play today, Wednesday, and then next Saturday. So you also are thinking about your minute management and who do you want to keep out there and who do you want to give some rest to.
They've got some tough matches coming up. Brooklyn, Lexington away, and Lexington are a power-packed team this year. Lou City at home and Charleston Battery at home. Wow. Three massive games. Problem is, if they don't get a result here today, then it's one win, one result out of three, with three very tough matches to come. That's why the 3 points here are so important for Brooklyn, given the three tough games coming up.
And that's the comfort you can offer for Brooklyn, is you watch this game as it's going, and these opportunities, they show up in the blink of an eye for both sides, as Anderson knifes this one through. Shot on goal, but straight at Siaha. Case in point right there, Gary. Within any single instant, both sides have an opportunity to score. It's not taking methodical possession to generate something.
Stefan Stojanovic with a chance there, straight at the goalkeeper. Needs to do better from there. Not saying you're going to beat the keeper, but it's a comfortable save by Anthony Siaha. But you're right, when these chances come along, Brooklyn need to do better in A, creating the opportunities and taking them.
So you see 2 more minutes being tagged on here at the end of the first half. 2 goals and a couple of fouls and stoppages to account for it. Somehow that one stayed in play and will now be booted up the pitch by Prestis. McNamara finds Obregon. Obregon with a nice step, and he fires. Punched down by Siaha and then more effectively cleared away. And now we get our first booking of the evening.
That was a good chance for Juan Obregon Jr. He does so well to get himself into a great position. And it was a decent save by Anthony Siaha, but once again, I felt he could have maybe gone wider for the keeper, stuck it in the corner. You know, good strikers, when they get a chance, that's where the yellow card comes, just from a whack straight in the back. And maybe a few previous warnings about how they've been tackling Augie Williams, for example. But just back to Juan Obregon Jr., just got it's him and Stojanovic. They both had a chance from 6 yards, and both really forced Anthony Siaha into a difficult save.
Yeah, he's been able to effectively keep his feet planted and just manage what was coming straight at him. How about this footwork from Nishikawa? Dancing through 2 white jerseys. I'll launch it down the pitch one more time. I'll wait the whistle at any given moment. And there it is, after 45 minutes, Hartford Athletic have stepped on this pitch and backed in 2 goals to make it 2-0 on the road. Augie Williams, known goal scorer in the USL, and Barry Coffey, known goal scorer in Ireland, getting the job done.
Very good first half from Hartford Athletic. They've managed the pressure that's come from Brooklyn. They've restricted them to just a few half-hearted shots on goal, and they've taken their chances when they've come. So excellent performance by Hartford, but there's a second half still to come in New York. Brooklyn will come out firing. Of that, I'm sure, and we should be able to enjoy what should be exciting and a little bit chippy second half coming up.
So 2-0 your score line. After the first half of action, we got some halftime content coming your way on ESPN+. We'll talk expansion. We'll lay the field for everything else going on in the USL. So be sure to stay locked in right here. We'll be back after this break.
Hearts. No two beat the same. So we built a team of the best heart surgeons, pioneers of the most modern techniques, who always find the one approach that's best for you. But while each surgery is unique, the outcome is the same: the highest success rates. NYU Langone Health.
Back here in Brooklyn for halftime. Mark Schoenster, Gary Bailey with you on ESPN+. Hartford Athletic impressing in the first 45 minutes, up 2-0. Well, Brooklyn's one of the new teams this year. Let's learn about what is a pretty wealthy batch of new clubs in the USL this season. Let's take a peek at where they're all located.
As we embark on another long journey to USL titles in the Championship and League One, contenders are now joined by even more contenders. 2026 opens the door to 7 new clubs, 2 in the Championship, 5 in League One. Sporting Jacks and Brooklyn FC joined the Eastern Conference in the championship, increasing the league total to 25 clubs. And another record for League One, with AC Boise, Corpus Christi FC, Fort Wayne FC, New York Cosmos, and Sarasota Paradise matching the expansion record of 5 teams just last year. It makes an interesting challenge for all League One teams with playoff expectations, beginning with defending champion Knoxville. And head coach Ian Fuller loves the challenge.
What is different this year about preparations for expansion clubs, which means more travel, more talent coming into the league?
Yeah, you have to be ready for anything in this league. Yeah. Almost every league in North America is like this. You're going to have expansion teams, a lot of different players. We've got a lot of new players, and we're going to face a lot of new players in the league and some new clubs and some new venues. It's kind of just the trickiness of this league.
Do teams coming in just because they're new doesn't mean they're at a disadvantage against, well-oiled teams like yours?
No, certainly you've got coaches that have coached in the league and done really, really well come in and with expansion teams. So, you've got a lot of players that have played in the league and played in higher leagues. You're going to have some really difficult opponents, even though they are expansion teams.
Last season, FC Naples finished 4th in the League One standings, one of 2 expansion teams to make the postseason. A tough task for new clubs this year as League One grows to 17 clubs.
Oh, what a strike! This week on USL All Access, we'll cover the massive news of Louisville City head coach Danny Cruz stepping down to pursue other opportunities in professional soccer. Greenville Triumph head coach Dave Dixon joins us to talk their ascent back to the mountaintop. Can they find Open Club glory? What is this year's Open Cup made of? And who in the championship has impressed so far? Who do we need more out of?
Match day 1, it's the season opener of the USL Championship.
No time like the present for these teams to make a statement and begin the campaign on the right foot.
We all have goals. But let's be honest, most of us aren't going to be professional athletes. But if your goal is to finish your degree, we can help. Come to a university that puts your goals first. Bellevue University, your partner in finishing goals.
Today, we accomplished nothing. I mean it, not a thing. And it was kinda everything.
This spring, stay 3 nights and get a $50 Best Western gift card.
Prinks tires in the USL help soccer journeys everywhere to drive harder. From city playgrounds to suburban sidelines, from early mornings to late nights, from fun with friends to winner takes all, from the biggest fan to the biggest heart. And at every turn, Prinks tires will be there for the long haul.
It is halftime at the USL Championship. We hope you're enjoying your match so far. I'm Dan Lucas inside the USL studio with a look at some of the headlines for this week. A new era is underway at Louisville City following the exit of head coach Danny Cruz earlier in the week. Simon Bird was named interim head coach for the back-to-back Players' Shield winners. Bird worked with Cruz since joining Lou City staff in 2021. Monterey Bay has given its young roster core a veteran boost with the signing of midfielder Sebastian Lletget. 33 appearances for the U.S. men's national team during a successful pro career. Lletget subbed on during Monterey's Week 2 match against El Paso Locomotive. Well, the season is still young, but the hot starts are standing out already. How about Rubio Rabin? 3 goals in 2 matches for El Paso. The Oakland Roots off to a 2-0 start under new head coach Ryan Martin. They had never done that in their previous 5 years since joining the championship. And goalkeepers Anthony Siaha of Hartford Athletic and Danny Vitiello of Sacramento Republic each kept clean sheets through the first 2 matches of the season. Spanish broadcasts are coming up soon on 2DN. Wednesday the 25th, Lexington SC hosts Brooklyn. Then Saturday the 28th, Detroit City hosts Charleston Battery. That's a look at the headlines for this week. Let's get you back to your match for the second half.
Let's look at some scores here from out of town. What a crazy game earlier today, Gary. Lou City and Rhode Island. What a bout that was.
Absolutely brilliant game. Golasso, you've got to go and watch if you haven't seen it. Jojo Quizera set Rhode Island ahead with a top corner bender. Absolutely brilliant. There was red cards at the end, and coach got sent off as well for Rhode Island. So the match had absolutely everything. In the end, Louisville just a little bit too good for Rhode Island. But wonderful exhibition and advertisement for the USL. Charleston Battery, look at them, 2-0 down at halftime.
All right, look out. Birmingham Legion coming to play. Had a 0-0 draw with Hartford in the midweek last week, I believe. No, a week prior to that, because we had Open Cup this past week. But Charleston Battery unable to keep them in check the same way Hartford did, as we got a couple more great games still to go tonight. Would definitely recommend any one of these, but Colorado Springs, Orange County happening later tonight. Get to see that Colorado Springs team again. They looked really good so far under Alan McCann, and they brought in some nice new weapons on top of that. Meanwhile, Orange County, every single year, always seems like they've got some new young stars, and once again, they've got a couple of great teenagers there. So excited to see how that one transpires, and always going to look at Oakland Roots too and their hot start to see if they could keep it going against Pamukkale and Phoenix Rising. As we now will step aside, go to break, and when we come back, we have the second half of action closer to getting started here from Maimonides Park. We'll see you then. Back here in Brooklyn for part 2 of this first ever meeting between Brooklyn FC and Hartford Athletic. After 45 minutes, Brennan Burke's side with 2 goals to have the lead here against the home side. And in case you missed it, let's go take a peek at those goals now. Mark Schoenster alongside me, former Manchester United.
This corner coming in from Sebastian Anderson with nice pace, and there are the stats. Interesting, there's more shots on target for Brooklyn than Hartford. They've got 2/3 of the possession, but what they're not doing is really testing Anthony Siaha enough. They've hit shots at him, but they've all been fairly comfortable for the goalkeeper. Got to come up with something a little bit better now, Brooklyn, in the second half.
Yeah, you can look at this 2 ways. One, there's work that you can, you have something to work with here if you're Brooklyn in orchestrating a comeback. But on the flip side, stats can be misleading when you're just looking at numbers and not looking at what happened on the field of play, because outside of that only shot that Siaha had to quickly react to, none of those other shots on goal were particularly difficult for the Cameroonian goalkeeper to handle. So we'll switch sides. Our head official once again, Thomas Snyder, waiting to get this one back into play. Looks like all our boxes are checked here. So one bit of housekeeping to update you on here. A change for Brennan Burke's side. The man with the goal and assist in the first half, Barry Coffey, is out. And in comes Andres Hernandez, who had a goal and assist in the Open Cup game in the middle of the week. So as far as contributions are concerned, a like-for-like substitution.
Yeah, not bad if you can do that. I just wonder what happened to Barry Coffey, because he had a very good first half. Didn't seem to have a knock at all, but maybe he's just managing minutes. The Irishman still settling into life at Hartford Athletic.
Yeah, you've got a game next week against Indy 11. And then you have a midweek game on the road at Rhode Island for the Open Cup. That's going to be quite the matchup. And then you go to Miami, as here's Augie Williams with 1 goal already in this game. Williams rips it across, takes a couple of deflections. Rizvanovic able to prevent the corner kick. Just to have a closing note on Barry Coffey here. Brennan Burke has felt he's done a great job filling in for Sam Carriaga, who you mentioned is such a critical piece to this team. And talking about Barry Coffey, Brendan Burke said he just gets it. He picks up on instructions quick. He's a good leader too. He used the term classically trained, which you can interpret to mean a couple of things, but just a guy who I think has the proper understanding of the sport. And
yes, he came up through the Celtic system, and I think that's what he was referring to, as a Celtic Football Club in Scotland are a top side. Not one of the best in Europe anymore, but certainly professionalism, and that's the classical training, I guess, you're referring to. But you mentioned that he's filling in for Carriaga. I'm just wondering, after his performance today, doesn't he get to start with Carriaga?
Half volley spilled by Siaha. He's able to recoup right before Obregon gets there. Yeah, I don't know how you don't have a spot in the starting 11 for Barry Coffey with the way he's started his tenure here at Hartford, and case in point what he's contributed to the game here tonight. Of course, you can only have 11 players on a pitch at a given time, so.
Oh, that's a block by Matt Real in a place that hurts a lot. And it would have hurt Anthony Siaha a lot if he wasn't able to pounce on that. He should have held it first time, a goalkeeper as good as him, but credit to him, he recovers very quickly.
As long as you get the job done, you can dust off your hands and go, all right, well, we figured it out, we managed. And it's a quick opportunity for Brooklyn out the gates here. As we saw a lot in the first half, they were able to conjure the moments. Now it's just that final shot that really they need to do better on, or maybe that extra pass to make a good chance, a great one. One thing I saw Marlon LeBlanc doing in the previous game against Detroit City, and I'm sure he's done it at some point here this evening as well, is he's gonna put his head down and jot some things in his notepad. Some coaches are always out and animate throughout the game, and he's taking a chance to think of everything big picture-wise. He mentioned that over the years he's learned to be pragmatic as a manager, and it's not necessarily about what adjustments in an individual game that need to be made, but just his reflections of a match as this one's curled in, deflected towards goal. Jordan Scarlett got a piece of it. Won't be friendly fire, but it will result in a corner kick.
Chris Olney Jr. putting a very dangerous ball in there that Scarlett did extremely well to get rid of. Now they have to defend from a set piece. And can we see some quality here from Brooklyn?
TJ Prestis able to get a piece of that one. Obregon persistent and earns a throw in for his side. Wonder if we've got a long throw specialist here. Gabriel Alves will be looking to fit that role. Anaku did well there. Now Brooklyn will once again push forward. Ball ripped across the center. It took some deflection, several of them to be in fact, and it'll be a corner kick once again for Brooklyn.
This is good pressure coming from Brooklyn. Much better. Balls being whipped into that box, really putting Hartford defenders under pressure. And that's what the coach Marlon LeBlanc would have wanted at halftime. More incisive, more dangerous. Unlucky that one just takes a deflection on the way through.
A sixth corner kick in this game for Brooklyn. Williams knocking that one away and then providing the final clearance. Okioshi. All the way back up the field, looking for Anderson. Every interaction is a tussle. There are no lighthearted moments in this game.
And And it's pressure for the Brooklyn strikers because they have to get a breakthrough at some stage, somehow. They've got a couple of players on the bench, and you might start to think if the likes of Marcus Anderson we saw just there doesn't do something. At some point, Marlon LeBlanc has to look at Peter Mangione and Sean Hundal and others and think, well, do I make changes either up front or in the middle? And, you know, do I bring Malik Pinto? And what do I do? Fresh legs? Make a change. He's got to get that breakthrough. 2-1, it really is game on. At 2-0, a little bit too comfortable for Hartford.
It's comfortable right now for Hartford, and in some ways, they're feeling pretty comfortable, about the way this season has gone and is going, because even despite missing some of those key pieces, they still look really good. And Brennan Burke has mentioned that this is probably one of the happiest locker rooms he's ever been a part of. And that's so important, Gary, because obviously, as an individual, you're driven, if you're part of a professional club, to be successful and you want to do well by your teammates. But when you also just actively are excited to go into work every single day because you want to see the guys again, it just makes another world of difference.
It's certainly great if you can achieve that, if you can, and that's why coaches often talk about bringing in the right players, and they use the term cultural disruptors. We don't want cultural disruptors. We don't want players who come in and bring in a mood and bring in an aggression and a problem. We want players who come in and bring in solutions and do it with a smile. So yes, part of your coaching job, besides getting good players, is to get the players with the right character as well.
Another whistle here from Thomas Snyder.
Getting good pressure from the home side. This has been the best in the entire match for me, these last sort of 10 minutes from Brooklyn. And clearly Marlon LeBlanc has got them fired up and pushing forward. The only question is, can Hartford catch them on the counter-attack with the pace of Siddhartha Naku and Augie Williams?
Obregon and Nishikawa are the ones by the ball right now. Some instructions being given to players away from the dead ball. Nishikawa leaves it for Obregon, takes it directly to goal. It was close to making contact with Gabriel Alves, whom at that distance, if he even gets a piece of it, you're thinking that's a goal on the board.
Once again, it's directed to the goalkeeper. There hasn't been a save for Siaha to make where he's had to really fling his body and make a dive. It's all been at his hands. He's done well, don't get me wrong, and Brooklyn have done well to get the shots on target, but there hasn't been a quality shot yet from the home side that's really tested the visiting keeper.
Obregon chesting it down, will pop it over to his right-hand side. Only runs onto it. Well done by Okioshi there against Augie Williams. Rolled over to McNamara. Anderson. Now that one's smothered away from him by Sebastian Anderson. Those two matching up on several occasions here this evening. Marcus for Brooklyn, Sebastian for Hartford. And once again, corner kick service pending from J.C. Obregon. Williams all by himself, able to do away with that one. Service whipped inside, spills over to Obregon. Makes the move, Obregon fires, saved by Siaha. Tried to sneak it in near post.
Again, another decent effort from Brooklyn, but not enough to trouble the goalkeeper too much, who's had a decent game, Anthony Siaha. He's just done what he's had to do. I can't say he's had a brilliant game, but he's had 5 or 6 saves. Siaha, where he's got behind the ball, made the save, and to stop Brooklyn. Brooklyn got to come up with something a little bit more exceptional.
As a goalkeeper, you can only stop the shots that are coming at you, and he has done that throughout this game.
You see it from his point of view there. Comes in body behind. Again, if I'm being critical, he should hold that. He shouldn't let it come out, because somebody could have knocked that in the back of the net. He's too good a goalkeeper to fumble that out. But everything that's been thrown at him, he has dealt with. He's dealt with it well, but not really been tested fully as yet. Still time. It's a third of the match to go, and Brooklyn have looked much better in the second half.
Siaha in his second year with this Hartford team had 10 clean sheets in league play last season, then add in 3 more in the USL Cup. Already has 2 in league play this season, trying to make it 3 for 3. Enzo Carvalho, the one who collected the clean sheet in the Open Cup game back on Wednesday.
If they can hang on to this win, Hartford, it will put them in second spot, just 2 points behind Lou City. But Lou City would have played 2 of their 3 games at home. So this would be very impressive if they got all their points here on the road.
Anderson trying to test the goalkeeper. And check that out, was Hernandez the one who took that shot. Can't watch the match? Turn on Sirius XM FC 157, North America's only 24/7 source for engaging soccer talk, including USL All Access on Tuesday nights. Plus hear live matches from the USL, MLS, Premier League, and more, all on Sirius XM FC 157 and the Sirius XM app.
I've got to listen to Mike Watson, Devin Kerr every week. They do wrap up what's been happening in the USL. There's some really good interviews. I heard them talking to Marlon LeBlanc a week or so ago. It's wonderful to hear how Marlon was putting this all together with Brian McBride. You get to hear so much more when you can sit for an hour in a podcast and listen to Mike and Dev.
Got a player rolling on the ground here for Brooklyn, and it's their captain. As we get our first yellow card in the second half of action. McNamara is down.
Beverly Makangila there with the foot up. I wonder if there was much connection, hard to see from there. But McNamara down, and not sure if McNamara can do a full 90 minutes anyway, so I would expect him to come off at some stage, and they'll bring some fresh legs on, Marlon LeBlanc. It's from Tommy McNamara, 35 years of age now, and you can just see that he's not moving around the pitch as quickly as he used to, understandably so, of course.
Center midfielder with his second yellow card of the season. And talking a little bit about that roster construction you mentioned earlier for Marlon LeBlanc. We touched base on it in the first half about trying to see what some of these guys are made of, given, well, we'll have to hold that thought because Brooklyn are on the board. Any moment is a moment, and Brooklyn found theirs. It takes just one pass, and you could be on for an opportunity. And in his debut for Brooklyn FC, Marcus Anderson, the man from Brooklyn, scores the first goal in open play for Brooklyn FC. It keeps the pattern going, so now 2 goal scorers in Brooklyn FC history. Both of them are from the borough.
It was a good finish as well, Marcus Anderson. When he's got into the right position, he has absolutely thumped that past Anthony Siaha. And he's done what they haven't been able to do so far, which is a really good finish. And now we do have game on at 2-1. It's going to be an exciting last 30 minutes or so.
And now we're going to get some changes for both sides once we get all of those locked in for you. We'll confirm those changes. Both sides making some substitutions. I see Abdoulaye Kante out there for Brooklyn.
And Tommy McNamara went off as we thought he would do.
Sadata Naku subbing off for Spencer Gordon, the 19-year-old, making his USL Championship debut. And now they'll push forward once again. Olney. As that one returned back to him. Of course, not only is it the first goal in open play for Brooklyn, but also the first goal conceded on the season for Hartford Athletic. The home side throughout the game has had so many chances and moments. And like you mentioned, finally had a quality shot from Marcus Anderson, whom Marlon LeBlanc commented is a big add for this team this season. Making his debut, and now the fans will remember him rather easily. Olney trying to put that one up the pitch. Gordon applying some pressure on the other side.
I guess the big question to ask now is how do Hartford respond? Because we can see what Brooklyn are doing ever since they came out at the start of the second half. They've been on the front foot, they've been probing, they've looked a totally different side. Now they've brought on fresh legs as well, so one can only assume they're going to keep pressing and keep looking for the equalizer. The question is, can Hartford catch them on the counter, or are they going to find themselves just defending for the rest of this match?
Played out wide to Banca Yazil. Curls it in! Oh, the header's off the woodwork. Peter Mangione plays it back. And the one-timer from Abdoulaye Kante is off target. The two substitutes with a big look there.
Ball played out wide, but this little bending ball in. And Mangione's header here, absolutely top class. And we didn't see this the whole first half. We didn't see really good efforts on goals. Second half in a very different looking Brooklyn.
The home side have been the ones asking all the questions here in the second 45. They've now got one goal to show for it. Now they can hunt for the equalizer, but they got to be careful. Hartford on the other side, curling in. Will spill out, it'll be played up. And once again, Brooklyn are on the move. Kante plays it up ahead, just too far. Uh-oh, it spills back, Kante curling it to goal. And neither had the pace nor the accuracy to test the open goal, but another big chance as Brooklyn keeps pushing. Kante sends it in, headed towards goal, claimed by Siaha. It is a flurry right now for Brooklyn.
Good save from Siaha right there, but there was a chance, as you mentioned, for Kante with an open goal. Trying to side foot it, maybe if he'd have driven it, it would have got in. Here's the initial play. Siaha comes out of his goal, leaves it unattended. The ball rolls loose. Now there's a chance there to hit it hard. He doesn't quite connect, does he? If he did, and this is the second one in, the header. Good, he's going away from goal when he heads it, so there's not enough power in it really to beat Siaha. But all of a sudden, the goalkeeper is being severely tested.
And they just have all the energy right now. Okioshi up the pitch to Obregon. Obregon with his step. Poked away by Britton Fisher. Seems like every moment it's going back to a black jersey right now. It has just been a spike here for Brooklyn. Brennan Burke and his company now need to figure a way to settle this game down and regain some of the gameplay. Conte had it taken away from him. Akinyila. How about that work? Great effort, keeping it in play and maintaining possession at the same time. And Brooklyn are on again. Anderson from one end to the other, lays it up to Obregon. Back in the middle, pinged upward by Scarlett. Conte slicing it in. Mangione couldn't quite cut that one.
Wow, is this the same Brooklyn that played in the first half? Because they look a completely different side. Whatever Marlon LeBlanc said at halftime, it has worked, because they have come out firing bullets, and the subs they've made, Conte and Mangione, have made a huge difference. They've been going at the throat of Hartford Athletic. It's almost like they were scared to play them initially in the first half, and then they got over that, and they've had a go at Hartford, and they're getting joy. It's a fantastic second half performance by the home side.
I don't know if it was words said at halftime or a magic spell, Gary. It's been quite the turnaround. And although they had their moments in the first half, it is pretty evident that it is taking place in a much different fashion here.
It is, but there's only 20 minutes left. Hartford are 2-1 up. They're a professional team, and they'll be looking at this going, all right, we'll need to weather the storm, try and get a third, of course, but if we have to defend a 2-1 lead to the end, then that's what we do. So they're still in a good position, Hartford. It's just you wonder if Brooklyn could have done this from the kickoff. It could have been a totally different story.
Williams back to Hernandez. Trying to muscle it through right now, Hartford. Obregon able to get it out wide. Nishikawa makes its way over to the right-hand side for Vanka Yazil. Now Olney steps into a shot. Couldn't deliver on the long-range effort. eFootball is here. Live your dream, rep your team, and play as your favorite USL Championship club. eFootball is free to play. Download now.
Hartford fans rather still with their flags, and got to be reasonably happy away from home to be 2-1 up. And they've got Indy at home next match, and then Miami FC away, which is very doable. So they could go on a real run here. If they can get a result here today, Hartford, and then they've got a home match against India, they could really start challenging Lou City for the top of the table. But they've still got 20 minutes here, plus minus, that they have to get through safely.
As it was put earlier by Brennan Burke, just keep surviving and picking up points where you can. A lot of surviving happening right now for Hartford. Brooklyn, they've got to see the window opening before their eyes, but as time winds away, it's going to start closing once again. If you can't find an equalizer. Another change is going to be made for the home side as Obregon's night concludes, and Sean Hundal will sub into the game. Wendell, man from Brampton, Ontario. Has some experience in USL League One, MLS Next Pro, and most recently the Canadian Premier League. Perhaps he can open his account on the season, also having experience in the USL Championship with Toronto too. Wipe out there from Luke Latinovic. Didn't end up resulting in anything risky for Brooklyn. Anderson able to bait the touch and maintain the throw-in for Brooklyn. So first half, Hartford are cool and collected on their two primary chances, make it 2-0. Brooklyn come out here in the second half and have just been throwing shot and opportunity after opportunity. At times, dicing up this Hartford side, and got one goal to show for it and have been awfully close to finding an equalizer, but here come Hartford. Hernandez. Double teamed, lost his footing. Here's another run. Scarlett sliding in. And able to put it up the pitch as the offside flag goes up. Augie Williams coming from an offside position to receive the pass. Conte will tap it back to Van Yazil.
Those white shirts, with the exception of Augie Williams, everyone behind the ball packed into that lower third in a low block, providing no space whatsoever for Brooklyn to play in. And now Brooklyn face what teams like Lou City face on a regular basis, is how do you break down a low block? Very difficult to do. It's a mixture of crosses and shots and dribbles and all sorts of things. And when you're doing that, when you're chasing a score, when you're down, it gets very frustrating.
Conte.
Look at those blocks. There's just so many white shirts in front. It's very difficult to get through.
Yeah, for a lot of the game, you know, Hartford's making sure they've positioned themselves to spring the counterattack if they win the ball, but now they're sacrificing some of that just to make sure that they can't be broken down.
Well, they are keeping Augie Williams up front just in the hope that one ball over the top might spring a third goal on the counter. They've brought on the likes of Spencer Gordon, Galen Flynn, Andres Hernandez, all to try and bring on some fresh legs and just try and stop this Brooklyn team from coming at them.
Tried to sift the pass forward, but Hartford able to get in the way there, and now a free kick, which I'm sure they'll take ample time to actually put back into play. Gordon back up on his feet. Brooklyn FC fans, this is your chance to get even closer to the action and experience Brooklyn FC from a whole new perspective. Scan the QR code on the screen to enter for a chance to win 4 free seats in Brooklyn FC's new pitch side seating area. These seats put you just steps from the action where every pass, tackle, and goal happens right in front of you. With Lou City coming to town, I mean, that's a game you want to get to.
Absolutely. A card being brandished towards the touchline. I didn't see exactly who. I think temper's beginning to flare as well as we get into the very close to the last 10 minutes. It's going to be Hartford's job to slow things down and work the clock down. It's going to be Brooklyn's job to do exactly the opposite.
That one took a wicked deflection.
Again, this works for Hartford. You're in the opponent's half, you're 2-1 up, take your time, set pieces. Of course, Brooklyn just get more and more frustrated, but time is running out, and that's when tempers start to flare.
It'll be Andres Hernandez. From the corner kick. Rizvanovic. It wasn't clean, but it gets the job done. His distribution meddled with there, I would say. Kiyoshi with some room in front of him. He'll spray it out wide. And it's given away. Real. I'll roll over to the corner. No one can get there, so goal kick incoming for Brooklyn.
Augie Williams is calling them up, saying we need to have a decent high press here. They can't just do it with the two of them. He's going to try and box Brooklyn in, stop them from launching any attacks.
Banca Yazil. Able to get it forward to Olney, who returns the favor. Trying to slide it up ahead. But Fisher doing well to shield his man. Good combination. Half volley unsuccessful from Mangione. Olney working his way in. Rolled back up top. Some good steps there from Nishikawa. Out wide to Banca Yazil. Conte with the step. Conte still going. Lays it off. Doesn't reach the goalie. This one makes it over. It's over to the left-hand side. And now Hartford can boot it up the pitch. Doesn't cover too much ground.
Andres Hernandez had a great chance to put Augie Williams away there for a counter-attack and a third goal, and in the end the pass was just too weak.
Conte. That clearance only pseudo-successful there. It'll be a corner kick.
Looking a bit panicky at the moment, aren't they, Hartford? The pressure beginning to tell. Siaha's trying to calm them down. That clearance is an example of one that should have gone all the way down the pitch, 60 yards, and instead goes out for a corner.
They'll play it short. Good-looking ball. Falls through and sailed over top. The header just had too much arc.
This is a lovely ball. Watch this ball curling in, curling in, curling in. It puts you as a defender in so much trouble. But Hundal's got to head it down. It's got to hit the target. From there, at least if it's on target, you've got a chance. But to hit it right over the top of the bar, force the goalkeeper into a diving save.
Time winding away here from Maimonides Park. It was a surge to start this second half for Brooklyn. Hartford able to cut it off for a moment, but we're starting to see the home side trickle back in as Augie Williams trying to do something by himself in the box. Siaha with the press coming. He's composed.
Giving the ball away a little bit too quickly there, Hartford panicking instead of just controlling the possession. All that's happening is this wave after wave of Brooklyn attacks.
Sean Hundal, the substitute. Rolls over to Olney. Vanka Yazil couldn't keep it in bounds. That's a chance going to the wayside, and you getting closer to being able to count on your hand how many chances you have left in this game.
I guess you've got to say, if you're going to go 2-0 down at home, you're giving yourself a mountain to climb in the first place. They might look back not so much to the first goal scored by Augie Williams, but the second one from a corner. Barry Coffey getting a fairly free-ish header, finishes it really well. But you've got to be tighter at set pieces. If they'd only scored the one goal, Hartford, we'd be 1-1 now, and Brooklyn would be looking to try and win the match, which is a much more positive position to be in than trying to at least get a point. And that's the weakness, and understandably again, so because they're a new side, they're going to get caught at set pieces, but it really has punished them hugely here today.
Well, that's also where you have to differentiate too when you're assessing a team between the results you're getting and the performances on the pitch, because you also have a lot of things to look at in this game and go, hey, this is really good, and we really like what we're seeing here. And you're in the first few matches of year #1 as a club, and at sometimes, obviously you want to get wins, you want to get points in your games, but it's almost more important to look at the performance holistically and what you saw on the pitch, and not always pay as much mind to the result, because you're trying to establish the foundations of what you're looking for, and in theory the results will come once you get everything tidied up. That'll be a foul on Conte as he pushed down Matt Real.
Matt Real just taking a little bit more time to get up than was appreciated from the Brooklyn point of view. But yes, if you want to look at what the positives to take out of this match, second half has been fantastic for Brooklyn. And the negative is the first half. What didn't go right, how they battled to get on the front foot. And yet you must also take into account, this is a very good Hartford side. So they've gone away to Sporting Jacks and won 3-0 there. It's not happening here at Brooklyn. It's not a 3-0 result, but unfortunately for Brooklyn, it's heading to a defeat nonetheless.
Another change for Brooklyn here as Vanka Yazil comes out and Ryan McLaughlin comes in from Belfast, Northern Ireland. Looking to see if he can add some extra juice here down the final stretch. How about those moves? Ishikawa still dancing, fires! Punched away by Siaha. Denying the highlight reel goal. So Nishikawa with some fancy footwork and a good take to boot.
It is a good strike, comes back on his left foot there and bends that, and it looks like it's heading towards that top corner. Goalkeeper pulls out a really good save. Now that's testing the goalkeeper. They didn't do it first half. All these saves are pretty standard. That one, you had to really stretch for it. Again, so much better second half by Brooklyn. It's hard to think that's the same side that struggled first half to get any decent shot on Anthony Siaha.
22 shots, 10 on goal in this game for Brooklyn.
The game with stats, it's not the number, it's the quality of each one, and Hartford have had a lot less, but their quality when they get their chances.
Juggled up in the air, Siaha able to get that one easily. Augie Williams. It's going to take a lot to settle that one down, especially in a thicket of black jerseys. Ref says play on. Augie Williams Unsuccessfully jousting for positioning there. Latinovic proving strong, and the ref said proving clean. McLaughlin fresh onto the pitch. And not on the same page with Conte, who was subbed into this match, by the way, Abdoulaye Conte, and has been really involved and has been in charge of many of the promising moments that Brooklyn has been able to create here in the second half. Williams still down.
He's taken a few bumps in this match as Augie Williams, and this time he's asked for assistance from the sideline, which means he's going to have to leave the pitch. But I didn't see anything specific there, but maybe it's an accumulation of bumps and bruises. Maybe there's an arm around his neck a little bit there from the big man at the back, Latinovic.
Been an exhausting day for Augie Williams, and maybe a bit of a battered day as well, which we forecasted this one was going to be physical.
What do you call it, bare knuckle? hasn't been that bad. Having watched the Lou City match earlier tonight, there was
that one literally got bare knuckle.
There was a punch thrown, I believe, and a red card, and this hasn't been nasty in any way. It's been, you know, properly competitive, which is what both coaches would have wanted. But there's also a chance here for Brendan Burke's team just to settle down. They've still got a few more minutes of work to do before they can leave with all 3 points. And probably it's a good moment just to remind each other of the work they've got to do in order to get these points.
Well, as time is getting closer and closer to a close, Hartford is going to try to shut the gate behind them. Arturo Dizpay, the center back, readying to sub on. 32-year-old Cuban veteran. Knows a thing or two about closing out a match. Oh, that's not the substitution. That's the amount of minutes we're getting.
I wonder if Augie will come on and it'll just be a straight change for Dizpay, and they'll do without Augie Williams because he's taken so many knocks. Just for his safety alone, I think that maybe this is the end for him for the moment.
So Williams will walk off, and he won't be coming back on because, as you suggested, Arturo Dizpay will be subbing on for him. So the goal to start things in this match, Augie Williams with now 2 goals in 3 league appearances for Hartford Athletic. Off to a great start with his new club. He's filling out the role exactly as Brendan Burke would hope. You sign him to score goals, and that is exactly what he's done so far. And then you bring in Arturo Dizpay off the bench to stop goals, so.
Not a bad swap. Dizpay, what is he, 6'4"? The Cuban international, so he knows how to defend, and that's what they're going to do for, what is it, 5 or 6 minutes it's still left. But besides Augie Williams scoring goals, he gives them that speed and the counter-attack, and that forces defenders to have to keep 2 or 3 bodies back just to keep an eye on Augie Williams, and that's the real value that you find in someone as quick as him.
We're going to get a free kick just outside the penalty area. Fresh off the bench, and has now been called for the foul, Arturo Dizpay.
He's very lucky it's not inside the box, it's just outside. Let's have a look at it again. Yeah, it's just outside by a yard or so. He probably knew that anyway. He knew once he crossed the line he could risk that sort of tackle. Now, we saw Nishikawa hit a beautiful shot about 10 minutes ago, was it? That the Siaha had to dive full length across the pitch to save. I wonder if he's going to do something similar.
It would take quite some shape, but he wouldn't put it past him. Only also lurking there. Nishikawa. It was going to be a tough ask.
Well, if it had been a bit closer, might have been a better. He's really just ballooned that over the bar. And again, as we've said so many times, the job there is to always hit the target. Keep it low, test the goalkeeper. Not easy for the keeper. He's looking through a ton of legs there, so it's very possible he misreads the shot, but that was just a million miles over the bar, not even close.
An ultimately harmless free kick from So Nishikawa. And Hartford will do everything they can to grate away precious seconds for Brooklyn here, trying to hang on to 3 points on the road. It has been a Brooklyn barrage here in the second half. Latinovic lofting it into the penalty area. Settled down quickly. Only with the one-timer after Hundal nodded it back to him.
It's not a bad tactic to have that long high ball to Sean Hundal. And wonderful get to see him play more often up front.
How about that touch? Settled down. Gordon took a shot. It didn't go very far. And we're getting a signal from our head official, Thomas Snyder. Brooklyn will get possession again. Roughly 2 minutes left to go. Latinovic. Some exuberance being displayed there, and then a hefty collision. Gowan Flynn came in like a missile to intercept the pass and then basically got flattened.
And that was a tired, desperate tackle there from Nishikawa, and will rightly get a yellow card, but that's going to suit Hartford Athletic. Once again, great opportunity to work the clock down, push some numbers up. And time is not the friend of Brooklyn at the moment, because that clock has less than a minute plus any added time left. And this free kick, if they do it properly, should take off at least 30 seconds or so if they just lob it into the box somewhere, or keep possession short. Those are the two options.
They'll try to send it to the corner, where it is kept in play. And now the flag goes up in the air with about 30 seconds left to go. Cleared back up the pitch. Will Brooklyn even get another chance? Right now in the middle of the pitch, it's been locked down. Rizvanovic, a hopeful ball. Once again managed by the visitors. McLaughlin down the touchline. Rolled over to Olney. Olney into the middle. And it lands on the roof for a corner kick. Jordan Scarlett sliding in to make sure nothing bruised inside that 6-yard box. This will be the 10th corner kick of the day for Brooklyn. And most likely, it'll be the last action in the match. They have a goal from open play, a goal from a penalty kick, and they orchestrate their first corner kick goal. To find an equalizer, it's played short. Olney blocked away. Quickly thrown back in. Lifted ball. Had it out for a moment. The ball's airborne once more. And Hartford survive on Coney Island. 2-1 your final score. They had to grit their teeth for about 45 minutes here in the second half. But goals in the first half from Augie Williams and Barry Coffey were just enough to get them all 3 points on the road.
Yeah, solid performance from Hartford Athletic. As you said, they got the goals, they got the lead. They took a little bit of a bashing second half from a revitalized Brooklyn. If they'd have played like the second half, if they'd have played the first half like they played the second half, Brooklyn, it would have been a different story. But they struggled in the first half, the home side did. They came good in the second half. But great defending, great professionalism. They lost Augie Williams towards the end there from all the bashings that he took, but they just did the defensive work they had to do. And now they sit second in the table, 2 points behind the leaders, Lou City. And they've been away from home all 4 matches so far. So what a great start to the season for Brendan Burke at Hartford Athletic.
We will be right back after this break. We've got post-game coverage coming up next on ESPN+. 2-1 your final score. Hartford Athletic with all 3 points. Celebration for the traveling fans from Hartford. Hartford Athletic with 2 goals in the first half. Hung on in the second half to get all 3 points on the road here in the first ever meeting between Brooklyn FC and Hartford Athletic. For one last time, Mark Schoenster and Gary Bailey are with you here on ESPN+. Let's take a look at those full-time highlights. Starting off with the goal that got everything going for Hartford Athletic, and it's the most usual of suspects, Augie Williams.
Barry Coffey with a lovely through ball. Augie just between 3 black shirts, just outstrips him for pace and tucks it in the back of the net past the keeper. No chance whatsoever. Good 1-0 lead to the visiting side.
And then action would continue. The second goal would come off of a set piece, and this is the one that maybe Brooklyn will wish they were able to manage better.
Yeah, Barry Coffey gets up so well. They should have been a bit tighter to him. In the end, it's a comfortable header, but a good ball put in from the corner by Sebastian Anderson. Lots of pace and curve on the ball.
Then we get into the second half, and this was the wake-up call. They were looking good in the first 10 or so minutes, and then Marcus Anderson smashes it home.
His first touch just sets him up for that, but his pace and power, really good finish from Marcus Anderson, quality player. They couldn't do any more. All the shots were good shots on target, but a lot of those were soft shots until late on in the second half when they really began to test Anthony Siaha. Huge possession as well. Lots more corners. So the stats look good for Brooklyn, but to be honest, the first half, the stats are misleading. They didn't really threaten Anthony Siaha much. It was Hartford who had the quality when they did have the chances. They took them. Second half, though, a different story for the home side. Much better looking Brooklyn FC.
And they will now quickly turn around and go on the road to play Lexington on Wednesday. Meanwhile, the home opener next weekend for Brendan Burke and Hartford Athletic. And that is where this show will conclude on ESPN+. For our entire broadcasting crew, to Gary Bailey, I'm Mark Schoenster saying thank you for tuning in. We hope you have a fantastic night, and we'll see you next time. Your final score, Hartford 2, Brooklyn 1.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent of the United Soccer League.